Let the record reflect. After the deposition comes the order. Testimony is what you provide when you still believe the room is capable of correction. You speak, you explain, you bleed, all in hope that if they saw the wound, they would stop the blade. But an order is what you issue once you confirm the room is committed to the repeat. It is the realization that they aren't misunderstanding you. They are mapping you. What makes you hesitate? What makes you soften? What makes you over-explain? What makes you second-guess your own alarm system? A protective order is not an emotional plea. It is a jurisdictional boundary. It is a line that does not negotiate, does not blink, and does not require a quorum to be true. It is the moment you stop asking for permission to be safe and start making safety a prerequisite for your presence. This file is for the ones who keep communicating and keep getting harvested for more data. For the ones who keep expressing and keep getting their words redacted and rewritten by the system. For the ones who try to be understood by people who understand perfectly and proceed anyway. The objective here is not peace by discussion. The objective is safety by design.
The formal notice.
Every protective order begins with notice. In the past, you gave speeches. You gave I statements. You gave your heart on a platter, hoping they're treated with care. Notice is different. Notice is not a monologue. It is not a therapy session. It is not an invitation to a sit down. Notice is terms. Notice is scope. Notice is if then protocol of your new reality. This is where the target often wavers. The system trained you to think you're supposed to soften the blow. You've been told that if you aren't nice about your boundaries, they don't count. So you start writing boundaries like essays. You start presenting safety like a proposal. You start negotiating the perimeter while calling it communication. No. A boundary is not a performance for their approval. It is service of process. When a court serves papers, it does not ask if the defendant concurs. It establishes receipt. It establishes jurisdiction. The service is a standard, not a conversation. Do not contact me directly. Do not utilize third parties to bypass this restriction. Do not enter the digital or physical spaces where my presence is established. Do not involve my name in rooms where I am not present. Notice does not beg for comprehension. Notice establishes jurisdiction. Once served, the next contact is no longer a misunderstanding. It is a documented violation.
The radius.
A weak boundary is a door with no lock. A robust boundary is a door with definitions. Manipulative systems do not break rules in ways that are easy to catch. They exploit gaps. They look for gray areas where you didn't explicitly say no, and they set up camp there. That is why the order must define the radius with surgical precision. Direct contact, indirect contact, digital access, information harvesting, reputation interference, proxy routing. Direct contact is the obvious front door, but you must account for indirect contact, the accidental run-in that wasn't accidental. Digital access, the silent surveillance, the ghost watching, the pattern checking, information harvesting, the casual questions to relatives, mutuals, co-workers, anyone still porous, reputation interference, the concern narrative, the soft smear delivered like a prayer. They will technically comply while violating the spirit every day. They will stop texting your phone and start checking in through a mutual friend to see how you're holding up. They will stop arguing with you and start praying for you publicly where everyone can read the subtext. They will stop confronting you and start warning others about your instability under the guise of concern. Scope stops the workaround. We aren't trying to control their internal character. We are canceling their external permissions. If the scope is tight, the workaround becomes an admission, not out of love, out of access addiction.
The no contact clause.
We must distinguish between two things: connection and access. Healthy people want connection. Manipulative systems want access. Access to your nervous system so they can trigger a response. Access to your reaction so they can archive it as evidence of your brutality. Access to your time so they can delay your life and keep you reachable. Access to your attention because attention is the leash. No contact is not the silent treatment. It is containment. It is the recognition that every time you pick up the phone to set them straight, you are handing them the keys to your house. Every time you clear it up, they get more material to twist. Every time you offer a closing statement, they find a hook to keep the dialogue alive. Every time you say this just once, the statute of limitations on their behavior resets to 0. No contact means no contact. No rebuttal to the lies they tell. No clarification of the facts they purposely ignore. No one last talk to find closure. Closure is not something they give you. Closure is the click of the lock. Silence is not a void where you are losing. Silence is a locked gate. A system that feeds on your reaction will eventually starve on your refusal.
Proxy violations.
If a predator cannot reach you directly, they will try to reach around you. They will send couriers, not always malicious looking, often polite, often spiritual, often neutral. The concerned third party, the I'm not taking sides but messenger, the I just thought you should know update, the they're really sad pressure packet. Do not mistake this for innocence. This is routing. It is how the system maintains grip without showing its face. It is how pressure travels while the source stays deniable. The protective order must include proxies by name or by category. If someone carries a message for the violator, treat it as contact by the violator. If someone updates you on their behalf after you've withdrawn access, treat that person as an extension of the breach. The consequence is not to debate with the courier about intent. The consequence is distance. You cannot keep a clean house if you keep letting people in who have the violator's mud on their shoes. Anyone willing to be a courier is knowingly or unknowingly part of the mechanism.
Chain of custody.
From this point forward, you handle this like an incident file. Every interaction is evidence. Evidence requires chain of custody. No more hallway processing where things are said in passing and disappear. No more off-the-record quick calls that leave no trail. No more private clarifications that later become public denials. If it matters, it goes in the log. If it happens, it gets a date, a time, and a capture. One incident, one entry. Facts first. Adjectives last. Do not write, "He was really mean and scary today." Write, "At 4:02 p.m. Eastern Time, the subject sent 3 consecutive messages after being told to cease contact. Screenshots attached." Do not write, "They tried to intimidate me." Write, "At 7:19 p.m. Pacific Time, the subject appeared at X location after being informed not to enter my established spaces." Negotiation is where revision enters. Revision is how toxic systems wash their hands. The system relies on memory fading and feelings softening the facts. So you preserve the facts. Seal the file, limit the circle. Stop handing living material to people who specialize in writing your reality until it disappears.
The price of the breach.
Here's the part where most people fail. The consequence. A boundary without consequence is a suggestion. And predators do not negotiate suggestions. They test them. They trample them. They wait for you to prove you didn't mean it. Contempt is what happens when the order is breached. It is not a moment for yelling. It is not a moment for proving you're right. It is not a moment for explaining why this hurts. Contempt is an automatic escalation of enforcement. If they message, block. If they use a proxy, you mute the proxy. If they show up, you exit. If they escalate, you document and pull in the appropriate authorities or supports. You do not announce enforcement. You do not send a text saying, "Because you did X, I'm doing Y." You already served them. Now you execute. Explanation is how they reopen the courtroom to argue their case. And the courtroom is where they perform control. Contempt denies the performance. Contempt ends the repeat. You understand?
Enforcement and escalation.
Here is what a violation is. Not a conversation, not a crisis of conscience, not a moment to be the bigger person. A violation is a trigger, a tripwire, an alarm system doing its job. The mistake people make is thinking enforcement is emotional. It's not. Enforcement is procedural. You don't feel your way through a fire alarm. You follow protocol. A protective order without response is a fence with no security. Predators don't respect fences. They study the response time. They test whether the perimeter is real. They test whether you will second guess the breach. They test whether you will explain yourself back into captivity. So here is the standard. When the order is breached, you do not negotiate with the breach. You document it, you report it, you reinforce the perimeter. Enforcement is a sequence, not a debate, not a performance. Stabilize the scene. Exit if you must, yes, but not as fear, as procedure. Distance is not surrender. Distance is control. Distance can be safety. Secure the access point. Block the number. Lock down privacy settings. Tighten the digital perimeter. Inform gatekeepers, workplace, school, building staff, family members who still relay messages. No more porous lanes. Capture evidence, screenshots, call logs, voicemails, photos, dates, times, locations, witnesses' names, one incident, one entry, facts only. Notify the proper channel. This is where people freeze because reporting feels dramatic, too much work. That's conditioning, and that is a part of the trap. Violation is not drama. Violation is data. So you submit it to whomever enforces where you live. Court advocate, law enforcement, attorney, supervisor, campus security, HR. You route it correctly. You don't argue it into exhaustion. Escalate the consequence, not by screaming, by tightening the system. Request stronger terms if needed. Expand the radius if the breach keeps finding you. Add named proxies if they keep sending couriers. Increase documentation. Increase reporting. Increase structural friction until access becomes impossible to maintain. A breach is not an invitation to clear things up. A breach is proof they understood and chose defiance anyway. So the response cannot be explanation. Explanation is how they reopen the courtroom, and the courtroom again is where they perform control. You do not send a warning text. You do not narrate your enforcement. You do not say, if you do this again, because you already did it. They already did it again. And that was the entire point. The only message a violator receives is the mechanism moving. Block, report, restrict, file, escalate. That is not running. That is a command. That is the perimeter proving it exists. This is the system learning that contact equals consequence every time, automatically. The breach is not where you break down. The breach is where you execute. No emotion required. No speech required. Just enforcement.
Final order and execution.
The court of reality does not rule on intentions. It rules on patterns, and the pattern has been entered into evidence. Findings of fact. Contact was used as leverage. Conversation was used as extraction. Compassion was used as entry. Silence was punished. Truth was edited. Boundaries were treated as negotiable. Compliance was rewarded. Resistance was reframed as instability. That is not complex. That is a system. And systems do not respond to understanding. They respond to restriction. Therefore, it is ordered. Number 1, jurisdiction is terminated. No more access to your body, your time, your mind, your name, or your environment. No private channel. No public channel. No indirect channel. Number 2, contact is redefined as a violation. Direct, indirect, digital, proxy, accidental, concern, prayer. Any attempt to reach, route, watch, harvest, or circle your orbit, violation. Number 3, compliance is not a promise. It is a requirement. Your healing is not a bargaining table. Your empathy is not a loophole. Your patience is not a waiting room. Number 4, enforcement is the only language recognized. No speeches, no warnings, no closure meetings, no just this once. Only mechanism, only consequence, only record. Let the record reflect. This is the end of the arrangement where you absorb impact so everyone else can keep calling it normal. The witness is excused. The gate is closed. The perimeter holds. Court is adjourned. Case file 06. The protective order. Status active. Directive enforce the perimeter. I am Woofy. Welcome to the resistance.